And likely some rain. We'll have that in just about 10 minutes.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. Some harrowing moments this morning for a college softball team from North Carolina when their charter bus caught fire on I-20 in Aiken County. No one got hurt in that fire that broke out en route to a game in Alabama, but it did shut down westbound lanes for a time near Columbia Highway. The college says a back tire blew on the bus and created a small fire. They say the driver was able to pull over safely and evacuate everyone from the bus. Another bus returned them to North Carolina. Another update this evening, this time about the investigation into the Waynesboro Police Department. Two officers investigated after a mother said they nearly let a stranger drive away with her daughter. Only one of those officers faced punishment, and now that officer is back on the job after an 8-day suspension. Today, we're learning the district attorney is referring the case to the GBI. That is after the mother filed a complaint about the quality and integrity of the police department's internal investigation.
Researchers are sounding the alarm about the number of young black men dying by suicide. It's rising faster in black youth than any other racial group. Claire Allen examines the mental health stigmas in the black community and how people are working to address this need.
Experts say many young black men suffer in silence because of the stigma concerning mental health in the black community.
It's just like a silent thing that a lot of people just aren't aware of.
They are hurting. They are hurting, but they are not expressing that hurt.
Recent studies show the stigma surrounding young black men and suicide is on the rise. The study from the Journal of the American Medical Association shows the suicide rate for black male youth ages 15 to 24 increased by 47%. Therapists say that's worrisome.
We are exposed to a lot of trauma, a lot more than we realize, and if we don't do something to address our mental health in helpful ways, then it's going to come out another way.
Another study from the Congressional Black Caucus shows suicide attempts increased by 73%, and injury by attempt rose by 122% in black boys.
I know sometimes people perceive feeling down or depressed or sad as weakness, and you might not want to be vulnerable with certain people.
Put on this facade that you're a tough guy. I can't let you see me cry. Because in our generation, everybody's supposed to be tough. But on the inside, I'm screaming and I'm hurting.
Gerald Taylor's nonprofit organization, Securing Our Streets Everywhere, is training black men to be mentors in the black community to help break this stigma, among other things. Taylor adds to help combat certain issues, a bond with young people is vital.
So now, we have to have in our community our men to step up.
In Augusta, Claire Allen, on your side.
And to get involved, you can find Securing Our Streets really everywhere on Facebook. The counselor that Claire spoke with also suggested reaching out to BEAM for help. That stands for Black Emotional and Mental Health Collective. They have resources. We have phone numbers and training programs there as well. If you will reach out, it is there. There are numbers to call for help. We've listed some of them right here. If you'll take a second, grab the phone, take a quick shot at your screen. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the National Hope Line Network, and the National Youth Crisis Hotline. They all have someone available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Today, Aiken County Schools tell us Byrd Elementary School is working to organize a donation for the family of Dana Foster. The teacher was killed in her Graniteville home earlier this month. She was a mentor to her students, and now they're writing letters to her family to show their support.
These are just a few of the notes and drawings Foster's family has been receiving. The family was working to start a scholarship program in the name of Diana's late husband, Scotty Foster. Now they're planning something that honors both of them. A pilot evacuates to the hospital after a small plane crash in Orangeburg County this morning. Officials say the ultralight plane crashed at the Holly Hill Airport, trapping that pilot inside. One of the hangar owners calling 911. Law enforcement says it is a miracle someone was at the unmanned airport when this crash happened and was able to get help there. The police chief says he believes the pilot is in critical condition. Georgia Representative Jody Heiss in Augusta this morning campaigning for the position of Secretary of State. He flew into Daniel Field holding what After 2 years without this, the annual St. Patrick's Day celebration is set to return to downtown Augusta. The Irish American Heritage Society announcing the big parade will be back on March 17th, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's a cool looking poodle right there. We're told it'll feature music and entertainment from Richmond County schools, floats from different local businesses and nonprofits, and of course the Irish American Heritage Society. So lots of fun. And of course we need to check out the weather and what that should be like when it comes back. But Riley,
It is a view we will keep watching for you as the night unfolds there. You know, a lot of us remember the Y2K issue and the serious concerns about what was going to happen 1 second after the new year began.
Thankfully, nothing did. Everything was fine. But now another computer bug is threatening to shut down even more systems in the not-so-distant future. Jamie Tucker explains why the eyes of the world are now looking at the year 2038.
It isn't the end of the world as we know it, but the end of time as many computers and programs understand it. And it's set to happen in approximately 16 years from now.
The year 2038 bug comes from the fact that many computer systems count time by counting seconds since the 1st of January 1970.
Mikko Hupanen is a leader in global cybersecurity. He explains from his home in Helsinki that when early programmers built the Unix system, which many programs run on, they used a code with a time limit.
And the counter has a limit of 2.1 billion seconds. And we will be reaching that upper limit in the year 2038 on the 19th of January.
To be precise, it happens at 3:14 a.m. and 7 seconds.
If we don't fix it, we run the risk of undefined problems.
It poses an even bigger threat than Y2K because unlike life in the year 1999, everything today is connected to the internet. Flight navigation, postal service operations, supermarkets,
Banks and ATMs, power grid, water distribution.
broadcast television.
Broadcast television, unfortunately, is very much vulnerable and needs to be fixed.
We won't truly know what's going to happen until it happens at precisely 3:14 and 7 seconds into January 19th, 2038.
I'm confident that we won't be able to find and fix all the bugs.
Next time, we're going to talk about what programmers are doing to fix the problem and whether they're going to run out of time before the computers do. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
I don't know about you, but I'm not quite ready to start worrying about that just yet.
I am. I'm going to ask for the day off.
Go ahead and put in for it now.
I am.
But if 2038 seems like a long way away, how long ago does 2006 feel? That's how quickly 16 years will pass.
I mean, it's a blink of an eye. It is. Programmers have been working on a solution for more than a decade now, so this isn't anything new. They've known about this. So,
Okay.
yeah.
At least it's on our radar. Okay. Way out on the radar.
But you know what? People with anxiety like me, that's not cool. We do not need one more thing to worry about. Like, this is one more thing I'm going to worry about that I don't need to worry about.
Put it right up there with Y2K.
Thank you.
Right?
But I did worry about that, Richard. I did. So
Way
now
too
I'm going to worry
much.
about this.
All right, they're rolling video. They want us to move on. Tomorrow, Golden Harvest Food Bank celebrating 40 years of serving our community. 40 years of helping families put food on the table. Today they hosted philanthropist and author Jeremy Cower to give words of inspiration to the staff there. You know, when Golden Harvest started, they say their goal was to lessen hunger. Now 289 million meals, and later they say the mission is to end hunger, but they can't do that without a lot of volunteers.
We have several locations. We have our Augusta warehouse, our Aiken warehouse. We have the Master's Table Soup Kitchen in downtown Augusta. We're always looking for volunteers. Before the pandemic, we had about 1,100 volunteer hours each month, and so it's been slow getting volunteers back in. Everybody, has gotten into a new groove, so it's something that we definitely need.
Yeah, well, happy 40th. Tomorrow, Golden Harvest hosting a drive-through distribution from noon until 2. It's over at 2nd Mount Carmel Church in Appling. Their work goes on.
Happy birthday to them. An Aiken-based organization is challenging people to foster unity in their community with their first ever Black History Month celebration. The Wrdw village, I hope I said that right, works to bring together underserved populations in the entire community to foster sustainable change. They do that by identifying areas of systematic racism and providing resources for people who need it. Today, the CEO is challenging people to think about the words, united we stand, divided we fall, and to put those words into action.
Unity is something that must be deliberate and very intentional. So with today's program, of course, a celebration of Black and African American heritage, but also a celebration of all people, because we are better together than we can ever be apart.
The keynote speaker was Silver Bluff High School head football coach D'Angelo Bryant, and Mayor Rick Osmond was also there.
All right, we'll have a look at your weekend, 70, and a little bit cooler weekend in just about 10 minutes.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. Nearly 2 years of unprecedented losses, from lives and jobs to homes and education. High school students hit by the tidal wave of pandemic-induced challenges now vanishing from the classrooms we found in record numbers.
There's a lot of missing kids from the school system this year, and when I look further into it, the majority are in high school. Expect your graduation rate to dip more this year?
We certainly hope not.
High school seniors did struggle to finish school in Richmond County even before the pandemic hit. The Georgia Department of Education says the district holds the second lowest graduation rate among the nearly 200 public school districts across Georgia.
Now another troubling trend our I-team has uncovered. A record number of high school students are not in school this year. Senior investigative reporter Liz Owens looked to see teens on the fault line.
Well, since the pandemic forced schools to close, high schoolers are missing from the rosters in record-breaking numbers, 473 missing this year alone. We don't know the exact reasons behind the disappearance, but we do know staying in school is harder than ever when teens try to learn from home when they don't have a home.
We meet Tiffany outside the Center of Hope homeless shelter on a brisk January morning. She's new here and stops to ask us for directions.
You just asked me how far the school is. I think I looked at a couple miles.
Up the road.
How are you going to get there?
Maybe by bus or by what? Foot?
Her 3 children
Mine is 18, 9, and 10.
wait nearby on a curb with their book bags.
Where's the school bus at this morning?
Not here.
A bus does arrive for her 2 youngest within a couple days. But weeks later, her oldest is still waiting.
Are you frustrated right now?
A little.
Frustrated, discouraged, embarrassed. Her daughter feels all of the above. Glen Hills High transitioned to virtual learning around the same time the family became homeless. Her friends are back in class, but Nina's seat is still empty. She agrees to text with me.
I miss going to school.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does your teacher at school know what's going on with you?
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Have they offered either a cab ride to school, bus, tutoring, or anything else?
No, ma'am.
Is that the reason you're doing virtual, no ride to school?
Yes, ma'am.
Learning from home isn't easy when there is no home to learn from. Families must check out by 8 in the morning from the shelter. Tiffany works, so Nina goes to a friend's house to spend the day until the family can check back into the shelter at 4. The family rooms are full at night, but the learning center is always dark and empty. Dr. Gregory Rhodes is the shelter director.
I know y'all had the little learning center in here. When's the last time that's been utilized?
Well, we haven't used it. We've been doing virtual tutoring. The parents have to sign up for that through the school system, and then they'll send them a Zoom link, and tutoring will be provided for them.
Nina checks out a tablet from the shelter to learn, but usage is limited to shelter hours. Again, the shelter requires Nina to leave by 8 a.m. every day and not to return until 4 p.m.
Are you made aware, or are you aware when a student staying at the shelter has gone virtual, or do they have to tell you?
They have to tell us. We try to keep up with that, but if we don't know, then of course we don't know. One of the things that we do with our parents, we make sure that they get the information for the school board.
The information is contained here, and a small box on page 20 of the Salvation Army's welcome paperwork.
Does the Salvation Army, are they under some sort of obligation to let you know that there's kids there? Or no, like school age?
They will. Sometimes if they have their release of information, they will share that information with Ms. Palmer.
Not all of the time. Sometimes.
We are in the process of really just trying to do some more closer tracking academically of those students.
Dr. Veronica Gloucester is the director of student services in the Richmond County school system.
There's a lot of missing kids from the school system this year, and when I look further into it, the majority are in high school.
Buried in the data, the I team found there are more missing high school kids right now than the previous total of missing students across all grades before the pandemic hit and closed down schools. More than half of the 900 missing students this school year are high school students. That's nearly 500 teens, only 1 to 3 years away from a diploma vanishing before stepping across the finish line.
What kind of outreach or programs do you have for kids in high school that are just on that line, oh my gosh, there's just so much going on, and it's too much of a battle to even get to school. When I got to babysit, or I got to just find a place that I can sit during the day till the shelter opens. Do you have something in place?
I would not say that there is a specific program for that.
Is she overwhelmed? Are you guys that slammed?
We do have just her in that position this year, and it is taxing. It is.
Her being the homeless liaison. There's only one in a district with nearly 30,000 students.
Things may not be ideal, but I do know wholeheartedly it's not because people do not care in this system and that efforts are not being made, and that all of us feel that pressure of wanting to do more and to support our students and families more.
Students are least likely to graduate here than from nearly any other public school district in the state. High school dropouts are limited to jobs as fast food workers, store stockers, janitors, and maids. Tiffany can't afford housing on the $11 an hour she earns cleaning at a local hospital.
Our social workers are beating the ground, I'll say that. Really, all school personnel have responsibility. They're calling, they are beating the ground trying to identify or locate students.
88 of Nina's classmates are missing from Glen Hills High this school year. Forgotten on the fault line, she wants to vanish too.
Well, Nina did not quit. The homeless liaison came through with a gas card 2 weeks ago. A friend can now afford to drive Nina back and forth from school every day. Now, this is our second investigation in a project we produced for the USC Annenberg Center for Health Journalism's 2021 Data Fellowship. We're not done. We're still digging through documents. Our investigation, Children on the Fault Line, will continue.
That is a lot of missing students. Liz, thanks for looking into that for us.
Really eye-opening stuff that we all kind of bear a responsibility in making sure these kids don't slip through.
And meanwhile, deputies, marshals, volunteers, they're on the streets again, trying to get an accurate count of people who are homeless.
And Kennedy Harris joined those efforts to show us why this count is so critical.
On the steps of a church, on a cot, under the bridge, on the ground, yards away from the shelter.
They're in shelters, they're on the streets, they're in a place that's unfit for human habitation.
Late Wednesday night, we joined law enforcement and volunteers, meeting in a parking lot, separating into several teams with the same goal.
Try to make a connection with folks and have a conversation. That's our goal tonight.
The point-in-time homeless count hasn't been done since January of 2020. Before the shutdown and before the eviction crisis.
People that have not been homeless before, who've managed to pay rents because rents were lower, are finding themselves in situations that they've never been in.
Volunteers surveyed anyone experiencing homelessness.
Are you receiving any benefits at all?
Nah.
No?
Like this man, a 14-year Army veteran, sleeping near the 13th Street Bridge. He's never been homeless until recently.
How many times have you stayed in the shelter in the last 3 years?
I'll sleep in here nights.
The data is used for federal funding allocations. It can impact how much Augusta gets for emergency housing assistance programs, give the state insight on public housing needs, and help the task force figure out solutions.
You can't fix a problem that you don't know the magnitude of.
Shedding light on the issue often only seen in the dark. Kennedy Harris, on your side.
And volunteers handed out hygiene kits, blankets, and backpacks full of information on local resources. That count continues for 3 more days, and the last stop will be Saturday at a food giveaway under the bridge.
Still to come here on News 12, plans in motion for Columbia County's first hospital. A first look you'll only see here on News 12 after the break.
Well, we have broken another record, one of those weekend rain chances towards the end of the show.
Thanks, Riley. It's years in the making, but work is finally underway to build Columbia County's first hospital.
Here's News 12 Celeste Springer with a look at the never-before-seen plans.
Behind the tree line, ground for something new. The folks from AU, they've been talking about innovation. How do we be forward-thinking, not do what's been done in the past?
This is what that future looks like. Well, at least for now. These are the latest plans, but they're still fluid. One thing to note, though, this empty space surrounding the building. Here's why it's there.
How do we design the facility to be able to grow and change with the changing healthcare?
Weekend rain chances towards the end of the show.
Thanks, Riley. It's years in the making, but work is finally underway to build Columbia County's first hospital.
Here's News 12 Celeste Springer with a look at the never-before-seen plans.
Behind the tree line, ground for something new. The folks from AU, they've been talking about innovation. How do we be forward-thinking, not do what's been done in the past?
This is what that future looks like. Well, at least for now. These are the latest plans, but they're still fluid. One thing to note, though, this empty space surrounding the building. Here's why it's there.
How do we design the facility to be able to grow and change with the changing healthcare demands and population community demands over the next 5, 10, 50 years?
They'll be leaving a lot of room on the property so that they have room to grow for decades to come. This is the first hospital to come to Columbia County, and it's huge for the area. Because imagine for a second, you live here and you're having a medical emergency. One study by Cornell found every 5-minute increase in distance from a hospital decreases a heart attack victim's likelihood of getting help in time by 1.25%.
The path that we're on right now is to create a new freestanding hospital, an MOB, in a way that I have not seen it created.
So there's definitely still work to be done, but leaders hope the outcome will change lives and save them too. Celeste Springer, on your side.
AU says they hope to start actually moving dirt sometime later this year. The goal is to get it all finished up by 2025. If you want to hear more about those designs, we have an exclusive look for you online at WRDW.com.
To sports now, a career milestone for a local legend.